So here we are, episode 11 of season 6 of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, Flutter Brutter. This is the much hyped up since season 5 when it was first leaked episode that features Fluttershy's brother, the thing that fans have been speculating about for a very long time. In many fan works, some of them convincing, some of them not, we've gotten several different depictions of Fluttershy's brother. Everything from brave to nerdy and anything in between. Fans have been speculating since the leak what Fluttershy's brother would be. Would he perhaps be the mischievous child Popfly featured in the My Little Pony Christmas CD? Or would he be some kind of brave, bold, daring daredevil that is the exact opposite of Fluttershy, just like Maud is the exact opposite of Pinkie Pie? Would he be sort of a dorky little nerdy, geeky, sciencey character, kind of like an extreme version of Spike or Shining Armor? Or would he be a role model worth looking up to? Now, what we got was nothing even close to what fans had speculated. More like what fans maybe feared. Interestingly enough, the color scheme for Zephyr Breeze, Fluttershy's younger brother but still adult-aged pony, is a color scheme that no fan artist would have come up with. He's also one of the personalities that fans didn't imagine when they thought of Fluttershy's brother. While many fans were fearing that he would be a stereotypical moocher or some kind of mirror for the adult male brony who stays at home with their parents and is kind of a loser and all those other stereotypes, we really didn't get that. What we got was more of a artist-minded hairstylist who likes himself and every pony else to look fabulous, or something along those lines. A little kind of a flamboyant, huge mooch, very lazy, very narcissistic, vain, kind of rude at times, takes advantage of every pony else, and he brings out the bossy older sister in Fluttershy, the sister who is looking out for herself and her parents and wants her brother to get into shape and become a better pony. Sort of peeved, to forgive her language, personality for Fluttershy. It seems like these tensions have been building up for a very long time and everything's finally coming to the surface. The other shocker of the episode is that the main sets, or at least every pony before Twilight, has already met Fluttershy's brother. They've just never talked about him. Unlike, say, Shining Armor, who literally came out of nowhere and was never mentioned before to any of her friends, or Maud Pie, who is one of many sisters, who was foreshadowed in flashbacks and photos and storybooks. Zephyr Breeze is a pony that I assume Rainbow Dash, Pinkie Pie Rarity, and Applejack all got to know when they got to know Fluttershy before they met Twilight, before they were united as friends, and when they were still just acquaintances of each other. It's obvious that Rainbow Dash, and it does make sense that Rainbow Dash is and would be familiar with him because she and Fluttershy grew up together and it would be hard not to be familiar with him. But I guess it does sort of make sense that Fluttershy's friends that she had before Twilight would also have known about this brother. Just nothing was ever said before for whatever reason. The character overall is highly unlikable, and I think that's intentional because he has to have a reform arc, but he doesn't have to be this unlikable. The episode itself did a good delivery and showed us a lot about Fluttershy's appearance and her past and her family life, and presented her with a mother and father who were even more shy than her, who consider Fluttershy the bold one of the family. It's a very interesting twist on Finn's, and we got a lot about her past finally. So it gives us a good deal of pony families for each of the main sets except for Rainbow Dash, who we've only seen a family member in the background and haven't presented this pony with a name or personality or any traits or any other family members. It'd be interesting to see Rainbow Dash's family in an upcoming episode, hopefully this season. Since the episode had a good number of good points and a good number of bad points, those good and bad points even out, and this becomes a middle-of-the-road episode. Something that I'll enjoy a lot more than Applejack's Day Off, but just isn't as fun as No Second Prances or Gauntlet of Fire. This was a pony who was always flirting with Rainbow Dash. It's a realistic trait to put on characters. Often when siblings have friends, one of the siblings will often flirt with the friends of the sibling. It's a very realistic portrayal. To the fear of success and the perception of being lazy is also a realistic thing that people have to deal with. But more often than not, those who still live with their parents aren't being lazy or being afraid of succeeding or afraid of trying. They're not quitting before they get started. More or less, it's more likely that society or finances or time itself or some combination of multiple factors just hasn't given these people a break in life, and they've lost the encouragement and motivation to continue trying when they've been rejected over and over and over again, or even worse, straight up ignored by the system. And they're perhaps a little bit too proud to ask for help. I think an adjustment in the moral would be a little bit more relatable, but it's still an issue that people really do have, and we really should keep in mind to not be afraid to try new things and to not quit something before we see it through. Although that isn't the ultimate solution for the problems of the world, it is a good way to start. It was also nice to see Fluttershy use her tough love. It shows her character has evolved over time and has become something more than what it was back in the first season. Season 1 Fluttershy would have been a doormat in this situation and would have let her brother just keep staying with her. Instead, what we got was the Fluttershy that was able to kick the breezes out of her house. The Fluttershy that has stood up to dragons and cockatrices and other dangerous animals. The Fluttershy that has learned to embrace her love of singing and was able to perform with the pony tones, and the Fluttershy who was able to scare her friends and walk about in the open in Nightmare Night. This is a Fluttershy who has learned from her lessons and grown and done important things. Another interesting note is that once again it's been brought up that the main six have contributed to saving Equestria on about a dozen times or so. That means that their hero status is well known to other ponies and they've achieved something of a reputation. finally that heroic reputation is being recognized instead of being ignored like it was in Rarity Takes Manhattan and a few other examples. We also got to see a very interesting design in Fluttershy's little cloud house. Her parents' house, rather. It's definitely nice to expand on what kind of architecture the pony world can have in store for us. And this was a very Pegasi-centered episode as well, right down to the song having some nice Pegasi flight imagery. Also, Fluttershy's mother was a completely different pony from what people were expecting. Many people expected Fluttershy's mother to resemble the G1 Fluttershy or the painting of the pony that we saw hanging on Fluttershy's wall, and it turned out to be neither of these things. Also, the concept of gnomes is canon in Equestria. Whether the lawn gnomes that Zephyr Breeze carried around with him are creatures of fiction and fantasy in Equestria or creatures of reality in Equestria has yet to be discovered. But he did indeed have lawn gnomes with him, which I thought was very interesting. And the skill to talk to animals does not run in the family. We can also dismiss any headcanons about Fluttershy having earth pony relatives in the family. Her brother and both her parents were all Pegasi, not earth ponies, so that does not explain Fluttershy's talent for animals and her ability to communicate with nature and love nature and so forth, which makes her a little more interesting and complex of a character. Also, we got to see Rainbow Cat. I don't know if that will become a meme or anything, but I thought seeing Opal Essence resemble Rainbow Dash after she died was very interesting. Once again, we have an episode with no Starlight Glimmer. Hopefully she's been spending her free time with Trixie or Sunburst and not just staying out of the episode for the sake of not being in the way. Also, when Pinkie Pie mentioned cheese sandwich, I bet a lot of fans were saying, "Thank you, MLP, for reminding me of a pony that I only wish was in the episode." And two, it's a nice way to remind us that Pinkie Pie still thinks of this character and hasn't forgotten about him, and that he can still come into the episode in some form or another without needing the voice actor present. And the final thought, who makes for a better house guest when staying at Fluttershy's house? Is she better off with Discord, or is she better off with her own brother? Let me know in the content section below which of these two poor house guests was better behaved and would be the more interesting person or pony or character or whatever to spend one's time with. Until next time, thank you for watching and good night.